Hello, everyone. Hope you're all doing well. Friday evening. This is Manju again from Ayurhitam. I hope you're all having a good week so far. Today's topic is going to be about PCOD or PCOS, some PCO concern, really polycystic ovarian disorder or syndrome. I mean, if the disorder is associated with many different symptoms, then it is known as a syndrome. So we're going to talk about that and anything and beyond. You can ask me questions in anything related to women health. I mean, it's a very, very broad area. So I just wanted to narrow it down to mainly kind of PCOS, PCOD kind of symptoms today. But if there is anything else that you wanted to ask, you can surely ask, and we will talk about that as well. So today, if we have to talk about PCO or PCOD, to really understand in layman terms, right, so that we understand what's going on, there's really this, the hormonal imbalance that happens. That hormonal imbalance, it suppresses the maturation of the ovarian follicles. That's really what happens, right? And so what happens is that ovum is not fully formed. And in that ovary, you're going to see all of these immature follicles in different stages. If we go into technicality, that's what you're going to see. You're going to see a lot of immature follicles in different stages, and the size of the ovary increases as well because it is filled up with all of these different cysts. In everyday terms, we talk about hormones being responsible for these. We talk about different hormones that are responsible, and usually all of us have a vague idea of what these hormones actually are. And really, these hormones, they're present inside the body, and endocrine is it produces the gland that produces all of these hormones, like either thyroid or pancreas or testes or ovaries. These are the organs, right, from where these chemical messengers are really released. And these chemical messengers, they have a powerful effect on many of our body's basic processes. Right from regulating hunger, it can regulate our hunger, to influencing our reproductive systems. They affect our mood, they affect our weight, our sleep patterns, you name it, they affect all of us, right? But they just don't go out of balance by themselves, right? If we actually go and look at it, why would hormones go out of balance to create these disconnect from what is happening? Because when you look at a woman's month, a monthly cycle, a monthly menstruation cycle, she goes through a lot of changes. There are so many changes that happens according to the changes happening in the body, because our body knows that it has to keep homeostasis all the time. What happens is these different hormones are released so that they can protect that part of the cycle, right? So there is a cycle where progesterone is released a lot. There is a cycle where progesterone is reduced. These all happens, it's like orchestra, where there is a high tone, there is a low tone, there is a high tone and low tone. When everything is happening like that in a correct manner, how it's supposed to be, it is like a symphony where it will be melodious for us to hear. But when it is all flat, or when a low tone comes when there is a high tone, and there is not any synchronicity between different musical instruments, then there is cacophony. That's exactly what happens if the hormones are not behaving the way they are supposed to help us maintain homeostasis in the body, That's when our body gives us a signal saying, hey, something is wrong. I'm not doing normally how I used to. Address me. That's how it gives us symptoms, and it gives us a chance to address it. So when our body is going through this much change of, because it has to maintain certain temperature, because it has to increase the endometrial thickness, it has to make sure that the ovary is ready for, the embryo. If it fertilizes, it has to be ready to hold that embryo. So all of these processes need different temperature, different environment for it to stay in. So, but normally, what have we been doing? We just go by thinking that nothing is happening, right? Because our daily demands does not change regardless of what is happening to our body. We forget what is happening to our body and we go on doing whatever we have to do. It's like stagnation. We do whatever we have to do. If we are doing our sports, we continue doing our sports. If we are doing our work, we continue doing our work, but we never slow down to honor the body. That's what a perfect orchestra is, honoring the body according to what it signals us. If we don't do that, that's when we come to these kind of problems where you'll see problems like weight gain. There will be hirsutism, especially we're talking about PCOD, right? So there will be weight gain or hirsutism, or there can be patches on neck. You will either see acne, there can be irregular periods, and even going all the extent of fatty liver. That can also be seen. So when you get to this level, then you're like, okay, let's go check what's going on. And we pinpoint, oh, this hormone is not working the way it is supposed to. Let's get the support of that hormone externally, right? So if we get the external support of the hormone, you definitely will feel better. There's no doubt about it. You'll start feeling, all of the symptoms that you've been suffering from for the past few months, maybe. You'll suddenly feel like, oh my God, this is the reason. Definitely because the hormones are not working fine. I got this external support from the hormone and now I'm freaking fine. That's usual uh, tendency that we have, right? Of course, when you have a child yourself, or when you were a child yourself, your parent let you fall so that you can stand up and you can walk by yourself. If your parent was holding on to your hand all the time, maybe you wouldn't know how to walk by yourself, right? This example just came to me because if we don't let go of a person, it is not possible for that person to gain confidence and work by themselves, work on their own, for them to stand on their own feet, right? If we constantly give body that external support, then body will go back to its hibernation mode, thinking, oh, okay, so if you're getting your external support, it's not necessary for me to function anymore. It's not necessary for me to release that hormone anymore, or release that hormone as per the requirement of the body anymore, because you're getting external help. And that's what it will be used to, right? We're also forgetting all the other black box warnings these hormones come up with. If you open any of uh, these medications package inserts, they come up with these black box warnings, cardiac problems, breast cancer problems, all of those that are listed. And we know that they are there. Yes, our pharmacist will go over, yes, this is what you're going to go through, but we kind of ignore it because we don't see that in the near future. Just because our problem right now is addressed, we kind of ignore whatever is going to come in the future, right? So really what happens is that there is increase in the testosterone in the body. The androgens are increased in the body and there is less progesterone. So in Ayurveda, what we call is, it's like the Saumya Bhava. It's like that soft nature is reduced, and you see that hard and hot testosterone that's increased. And that's why you see all of that increase in hirsutism, acne, because it is all hot and it has that earth element. And you see all of that. So let's look at what has led us here. Usually in the modern approach, even when I was working as a pharmacist, I have never seen anybody addressing what has actually caused. We only look at, yeah, which hormone is incorrect. We look at the blood report and we find out, okay, this hormone is not functioning the way it's supposed to. But why is that hormone not functioning properly? That is what we need to find out. And it just happened so that because there is some function that's not working the way it is supposed to inside the body. So the number one thing is definitely sedentary lifestyle. Or if you're not doing a lot of things right now with COVID, I know we are not able to go out and do a lot of workout. This is especially for teenage girls. This PCO kind of symptoms are usually seen in teenage girls, and that's why I'm going to mainly focus on that area. Sedentary lifestyle is one of the causes. It's not necessary that is the cause, but there are so many different reasons that can lead to this disorder. But that's one of the causes. So check and make sure that there is some kind of movement. The second thing I wanted to address about is definitely, this is the buzzword, the stress. World is very, very competitive. And to compete with that, they have to work extra hard, and there's a lot of mental thinking happening. What should I do? What can I do now? Which college should I apply? What college application should I do? What kind of extracurricular activities must I show so that I can get to this college? So there's a lot of that stress also involved. And if that's increased, all of that qualities that are seen in the mind will definitely be seen in the body as well, right? So it is important that we address that and we make sure that the stress is, sorry, this phone is ringing and I'm not knowing how to turn it off. Yeah, sorry about that. So that is what stress is, something that we need to address. The third thing, very, very important, is cold foods. A lot of us are used to, especially teenage girls, are so much used to smoothies, ice creams, cheese, cold milk, and especially at night because they're used to staying up at night, studying at night. These cold foods are something that they are so much used to. If you're giving so much cold inside the body, everything is stuck there. If everything is stuck there, it's not possible to move. Then the normal physiological phenomena that has to happen will not happen. So that's one thing I wanted to also say is an important causative factor. The other important causative factor is irregular and insufficient sleep. This is also a biggest thing. A lot of people say that, yeah, I sleep at 2 a.m. and wake up at 10 a.m. I'm still getting my 8-hour sleep. But I've told in the past also in my other live sessions about how it's important to sleep during 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. to get that cold rays, that cool rays that moon gives. Moon and our menstrual cycle are actually very, very connected. So we want to make sure that we get that good cool rays from moon and make sure that we are cool from the moon, right? So it's important that we get that sufficient sleep and at regular time. Avoiding junk foods is very important. I don't want to speak so much about it. That is definitely a cause. Menstruation is a byproduct of what we actually eat. It's very, very close to what we eat because the very, very first tissue that is formed, which we call the Rasadhatu in Ayurveda, which we can broadly classify it as a plasma, is close to the menstruation that happens every month. So whatever food we eat is directly linked to how our menstruation happens. Another very important thing is exercise during periods. This is very, very important. A lot of teenage girls are in teams, in school teams. They play a lot. When they play, it's mandatory that they go attend these practice sessions that happen. And during that time, if you exercise, again, you're not honoring your body's physiology and you're going by as nothing has happened. Then the air element that is in the body, which is supposed to go down normally, is all vitiated and it's all going like a cyclone inside. And it doesn't know what to do. If you do it once, it's okay. But if you're continuously doing it every month, then it is a problem. And the other thing is definitely if it is coming from your parents, that is also another causative factor. It could be hereditary also. So really, it is that simple. If we address this causative factors, if I say these, people will be like, really, it's a big problem. How can you say that this is that simple? It is scientific. There is a reason behind each of it. I mean, I'm not just saying, okay, eat healthy and sleep well and be stress free, and that is your answer. And this is something that I've heard everywhere. You might be thinking that, but really, it is that simple. You take care of all of that, then your problem will be addressed from the root cause. If you take a progesterone shot or if you take internal progesterone, yes, your problem will be addressed for that time. But are you also addressing the N ovulation that's happening? You know, the ovum that's not being released, or the ovum that is released is not healthy. Are you addressing that? Are you addressing the infertility that can happen in the future? Are you addressing the fatty liver that can happen in the future? These are all some things I'm saying not to scare you, but if you address the problem from the root cause, understanding what the problem is, or even if you know what the causative factor is. Now, if I have listed all of these causative factors, if you know all of these causative factors, and if you get rid of these causative factors, if you're doing it, that itself will give you a lot of freedom from all of these symptoms that you might be experiencing, right? So now treatment, right? When we come to when I present with a solution, when I present with a problem, I have to present with a solution as well. So the treatment can be as simple as eating foods that are light, easy to digest. Make sure that you're having light breakfast, heavy lunch, and light dinner. Eating at proper times, sleeping at proper times, staying away from heavy foods. Yes, once in a while it's okay. You have to. It's not like you're going to be a yogi and doing all of these to maintain your health. Once in a while it's okay, but in general, this is what you would have to follow. And staying away from exercise during periods. This is a very, very big thing. And definitely keep a check on stress you have. Talk to a person, talk to your friend, talk to anybody that you think you can talk to relieve whatever you're going through. Journal your thoughts. These are something that you can really think about getting rid of, because those thoughts mentally can definitely manifest physically like a psychosomatic symptom that you can experience. So definitely address that from the root. And then if you find out that because you're having less nourishment, you're not eating enough, this is another thing also. You might be eating just salads, like very, very airy stuff, and you're exercising too much. Then you're not even creating a lot of trash for you to be removed every month. If that's the case, you have to definitely address it. The way you can address it will be by drinking warm milk, good quality milk for sure. Make sure you get good quality milk, and you can add some ghee to it. Make sure your digestion is proper when you do this. Take some milk and ghee. And if you are a meat eater, definitely some bone soup or meat soup is a good idea. And Abhyanga, you apply oil all over your body. Again, this is for you if you are very less nourished and you're not able to get. Someone is really trying to reach me today. I'm going to just decline that. So that's one thing that you can do. And again, if you're overly nourished, though, if you're not undernourished, if you're overly nourished, then because obesity is a problem and you're not having a good workout, you're having a sedentary lifestyle, if that is the case, then think of adding foods in your diet that are a little bit heating, not very much heating. Again, make sure that that heat is not vitiating, is not causing any trouble to your blood. Or if you have any skin disorders, you have to make sure that you are very, very careful when you're introducing these heating things. Make sure that there are no other symptoms like acidity or skin problems. Then you can introduce these heating things in your diet. Like horse gram is something that you can introduce. Again, be very, very careful. It's very, very heating. Or another thing is watercress seeds that you have. You can take like a 1/4 teaspoon. You can soak it in water. Make sure it turns a little bit gooey. Keep it on for about 2 or 3 hours. Then you can take it like that. Again, it is very good if you think you're a little bit on the nourished side, right? Fennel is one thing that is very, very helpful. Introducing garlic in your diet is also good. Buttermilk in your diet is also a good idea. So these are a few ideas that you can do along with maintaining the other things we spoke about, removing those causative factors and introducing these in your diet. With Ayurveda, there is a specific approach that is done. If there is a lot of toxins that are accumulated in the body, then we make sure that we do something called panchakarma, removing the excessive toxins that are present in the body. There are different ways. It is 5 ways, 5 karmas. That's why it's called pancha. That can be done, or giving medicated decoctions or oils through enema, through the route actually closer to where the problem is, removing any toxins that are present in that area. That can be done, or something called pichu, where medicated tampons, that's another thing that we can do, or giving uttar basti, which means sending oils specifically into the uterus. That's another thing that can be done. Or giving medications, just regular medications according to the condition, addressing the root cause and making sure not only that you get your period, just getting your period is not the only goal, but to make sure that everything else is addressed in such a way that you will not be dealing with any other problems in the future, all the problems that we spoke about in the future. So again, remember to start all of this during menarche. When you start your period, when puberty hits, that's when you have to make sure that the regular food timings, you're not overeating, you're setting a stage for them so that they're able to walk, right? So that they are able to leave. When they leave the nest, they are able to survive by themselves. Yeah. So that's really what I wanted to speak about. I hope that made sense to you. If you have any questions, you're more than welcome to ask any specific questions. If you want to elaborate on any certain topics, I can certainly elaborate on that. I didn't want it mostly to be like a one way topic, but if you have any specific questions, please go ahead and ask, and I will be able to answer them here. I thought this is very, very important to address because it is on the rise. It was not, it is, even though it is on the rise only in the past few decades, it is written. These kind of, 20 different types of disorders were written thousands of years ago in the Ayurveda textbooks. But because they probably knew that the lifestyle is going to be changed, and that changed lifestyle is going to create these kind of disorders, and they had that kind of vision, they were able to see that and give us different disorders that can be seen and give us specific treatment principles to treat them. And we see wonderful results when we go to the root cause, understand the root cause, and that specific treatment is given. So, but it has been on the rise, definitely. And lifestyle is something, diet is something we need to pay attention to. Now that we've been in the lockdown for so many months, it's a good thing that a lot of us are paying attention, turning ourselves towards diet and lifestyle. But unfortunately, there's a lot of information on the web which can be misleading also. So, understanding the correct way of diet and correct way of lifestyle is also important. So, I spoke about a lot of good ways of diet in my previous lives. I welcome you to go back and check on that. But if you have any specific questions, you can quickly ask that here as well, and I'll be happy to answer that. Yeah, and heavy foods, potatoes is one thing that comes under heavy foods, and cheese and paneer are those are few things that come under the heavy foods that you must stay away from as well. And drinking hot water throughout the day, sipping hot water throughout the day is also another thing that I would want to talk about. Removed and have natural periods for the first time. Any ideas? Very, very good choice, Melinda. Definitely, that's one thing that come in my practice also, that um, use different types of contraceptives because of various reasons, not only for birth control, but for various reasons, heavy periods or so. Any tips how to cope that you will bleed for sure, very, very much. Let the bleeding happen. If the bleeding is so much that you're not able to handle, then what you can do is you can uh, soak half a cup of rice, regular rice, in 1 cup of water. You can wash that rice first, add it in water, leave it for 2 to 3 hours. You can just crush the rice just with your hands, filter it, and take that for 2 to 3 times, especially if you're bleeding too much, because it's the after so many, I don't know after how many months or years, your first time in years, you're saying. So if you're bleeding after so many years, it's probably going to be a heavy flow. All of that trash that stayed in for so many years will come out. So to deal with that, this is a very, very good way. You can do that. Or another thing you can do is you can soak coriander seeds overnight, and you can filter that. 1 teaspoon of coriander seeds in about 100 ml of water. You can filter that and take that also. These are all cooling things that can happen naturally. These are cooling things that will not cause the uh, stambhana, which is, it will not constrict. There are cold water that can constrict, but these things that I'm telling you are cooling in such a way that they will enable the period to happen properly. So those are the two things that you can do. So I'm getting a little frustrated on vata with aggravated pitta. Eating a vata pacifying diet, keeping to a routine and sleeping well. However, I'm still getting gas, not constipated. Okay, Susan, I'm not sure what vata pacifying diet you have been doing. I know internet is full of, if you go to an Ayurvedic website, you have to take a quiz. Are you a vata? Are you a pitta? Are you a kapha? And then we put in boxes that we are vata or pitta or kapha. But then it is important that we find out what are the qualities that we are dealing with. Vata has so many qualities, and there is dryness that you can feel. There is, you can feel that there is a lot of air inside, or there's a lot of lightness in the body, or there's a lot of cold. You can feel cold, or you can feel that you are all scraped off, very excessively dry inside. Those are different things. Or the vata is stuck because there is some kind of constriction. That can also happen. So vata can be because of different reasons. And you say that you're aggravated pitta. I'm not sure what exact diet you're doing. If you're doing warming foods, it's best, now that it is fall, it's best for you to do some squashes, soups of those squashes which are warm, which will not aggravate pitta but will definitely pacify vata. You can introduce good grains, cook grains, especially rice. You can cook that, not basmati, you can use Sona Masuri rice, that you can cook and you can eat, add good amount of ghee to it, considering that your digestion is good. That thing you can definitely add. And if you're still getting gas, then that means the digestion must be addressed. Make sure that you're sipping warm water every day. Boil your warm water with some herbs, whatever herbs you have in the kitchen. Famously, we ask you to do like a cumin, coriander, fennel, 1 teaspoon each in about 1 liter of water, and boil it. Then you can sip that water throughout the day. That can reduce your vata. It can help with your digestion as well. This is what I can say from whatever brief information you gave me. Which aushadhi used for oral treatment and also panchakarma? It is very, very specific, Rajshri. Depending upon what the condition is, there's so many different aushadhis that are present. Eat the rice and coriander seeds? No, we discard the rice and we discard the coriander seeds. You're just going to drink the water. You're going to soak them. You have to make sure you filter it. Soak it for 2 or 3 hours. You filter it and you're just going to drink the water. You're not going to eat the rice or coriander. You can save that rice and you can cook that rice later. And coriander seeds, you might have to discard them. Oats in the morning, vegetable soup for lunch, and khichdi for dinner for the past 6 days. Vegetable soup. What kind of vegetables though? It also, there you have to make sure that you're adding very light vegetables. Gourds are usually better. You can add that. Or you can switch that to actually heavier in the lunch is better, and light for dinner. You can switch, make sure that you're eating khichdi for lunch and make a soup for dinner. And the soup can be a moong soup, which is on my website. You can go to my website and you can search Ayurhitam website. There is a moong soup recipe there. You can definitely do that at night. That can be helpful. Oats, if you're cooking that warm and if you're not adding milk to it, you can add a little bit of spices like ginger, dry ginger can be added, a little bit of cinnamon powder can be added, cardamom powder can be added without any fruits in it. That can be good also. Oats, if you're making sure that you're eating warm. Carrots, beans, leeks, yeah, that's okay. Those are good also. But make sure you're eating only if you're hungry. Don't hesitate to fast if you're not hungry. Again, making sure that you're eating heavy for lunch and light for dinner. And try the moong soup. I think that will actually be much more digestible for you than actual vegetable soups. Try that and see how that works for you. Any suggestions for eczema? Yeah, that is a very, very wide topic, Vijeta. So skin, right? Anything that is coming onto the skin, there is a lot of pathology that has happened inside the body already before it can manifest on the skin. I spoke about acidity last week, so that can be one of the causative factor also. Or if there is any suppression that's happening for a longer time, because we're not letting the doshas or toxins out of the body, they can try to come out through the skin. So giving you regular suggestions without knowing what has caused the eczema will actually hurt you than help you. So I usually refrain from giving any suggestions like that for eczema. Definitely doing the right things, definitely making sure that you are doing the right things. These are all universal for everybody, whatever I spoke right now, which is making sure that you eat only warm things, only cooked things. You're not eating any uncooked food. Make sure your spice level is checked. That's one thing. You reduce your spice level. And any fermented foods that you have in your diet, like yogurt is a famous thing, tomatoes or kombucha or any other fermented products that you have in your diet, keep a check on that and remove that from your diet list. And anything sour that you have in your diet, also make sure you remove that. Eating light foods, that is what you can do so that it doesn't exacerbate. But for you to make sure that you address it, you would have to work with a practitioner and address it from the root cause, because there are so many reasons it can happen. I just had hip surgery and have been constipated for 5 days because of the medication. Yeah, definitely narcotics are very, very constipating. That can happen. What can I have to get my bowels moving? So one thing that you can do is make sure you can, raisins, like at least I might say one fourth, actually, like a fistful of raisins you can take, and you can add in about 4 cups of water. Make sure you boil it well, and you can squeeze off the raisins, filter it. You can even eat raisins after that. Filter it and drink that raisins, drink that water, and eat that raisins also. Or if that's too much, what you can do is you can soak raisins, figs at night. In the morning, you can eat like 2 figs and a fistful of raisins at night. You can drink that water, eat that figs, and eat that raisins, and that must do the trick. Or castor oil is something that you can do also, but I want to make sure that you're able to actually move properly because you just had your hip surgery. I don't want you to be running to the bathroom. That can happen with the castor oil. So start with the raisins and figs first and see if that helps you, Melinda. Work with people who want to gain weight and struggling. Yeah, definitely. That is very, very important. Because now we are having the skinny race. A lot of people wants to lose weight, and but losing weight is good, but have to do it in a healthy way. If that's not done in a healthy way, then we're going to go into the other way. Gaining weight is important. Gaining healthy weight is definitely very, very important. Yeah, definitely. I do work with people with that, Susan. Like to get more specific treatment guidance. Yeah, sure, Nina, definitely. Any suggestions for weight loss? Gayatri, I did have a live about weight loss, and I also had some tips on my Facebook page. It has information on it. You can definitely go check that. But there is no magical tips, right? It's always going back and looking, checking, make sure there's different reasons weight can be increased. You can go back and check what kind of food you're eating, what has caused your weight to increase. Going back and looking at it first, and make sure you check that live. There's one, I think I have tags on it for weight loss. Check that and let me know if you still did not find answers. Yeah, definitely start with the raisins first, Melinda, and let me know how that works for you. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, specific treatment guidance is definitely dependent on the causative factor, going back to the root cause, understanding what the root cause is, and that's when we can work. I refrain from giving any medication or herb also. People think that yeah, herbs are easily given, Ayurveda. I want to know about herbs, but I refrain from giving herbs on the talks only because someone else's medicine will become someone else's poison. Without understanding what's happening with the body, it will be very difficult to give like that universal herbs. So I refrain from doing that. But definitely, asparagus is something that I'm just thinking of. You can include in the diet. That's a closest thing if you want to gain weight, and if there is, that um, having struggle with weight, there is less weight and periods are not happening because of that. Asparagus is a vegetable that you can add to your diet. It's one thing that's coming to my mind right now. But yeah, specific treatment is definitely necessary, and I hope that was helpful for you. There's different causative factors, why it happens and what to do when it happens. Good. Great. So I hope I have answered all the questions. Thank you all for joining. I'll come back again next week with a new topic. If you have any topics that you would like me to talk, you can definitely suggest. I drink Triphala every day. Is it good? Yeah, Gayatri. A lot of people, unfortunately, think that Triphala, because it is Ayurvedic, because it is a natural herb, it's okay to do it. And a lot of people do it for constipation or even weight loss. And it's an excellent herb for weight loss for sure. But it has to be given with a certain carriers. If it is not given the right way, Ayurveda has this, carriers where it can go to a specific site. And the formulation itself is also different. The way we formulate it so that it doesn't do any harm to the body. Because Triphala itself is very drying. It can actually remove all of that mucosal lining that you have inside the body and make you very dry. That can happen also. So I would suggest you to work with someone. Make sure that it is okay for you to do that. I don't know how long you have been doing. If you have been doing for more than a month, then I would suggest you not to do that. For about a month, I would say it's okay. And especially if you're doing it for constipation, there's so many other ways that you can address it, or even weight. There's so many other ways you can address it. I invite you to definitely look in my other life. There's one about constipation and weight loss also. But Triphala is not something that I would necessarily recommend to take it every day by itself. It will be drying. Not much help for us low body weight women. Please consider it. Oh yeah, definitely there is a lot of help, Susan. For sure, there's a lot of help. Ayurveda has mentioned it actually. Nahi stulasya bheshajam. It actually said that there's no medicine for weight loss, but for Krisha people, for people who has less weight, it has given so many other techniques, not just medicine, but there are so many other treatment modalities and different techniques that can be followed to gain weight and gain healthy weight, not to gain weight just like that, but to gain healthy weight, definitely. Dry, so Gayatri, there is a mucosal lining inside our body that protects, even in our intestines there is a mucosal lining, right? And in our membranes, in our brain also, there is the cerebrospinal fluid. There's all of these membranes that are protected with the mucosal lining, so that whenever there's a shock that goes through our body can handle it. Or there's a lot of acids that are produced inside the abdomen for digestion to happen, so that our intestinal lining is not exposed to those acids. It is protected by that mucosal lining. When we give products like Triphala, and especially if it's not given with a correct carrier, or if it is not given in a correct formulation, it can be drying. It can actually remove that mucosal lining, and your intestines or any of your other membranes are exposed to these acids. So it is best not to do it for a longer time. Finding pure products, genuine products, is always a challenge. Absolutely, it is a challenge. I get my products from India, and thankfully they are a good company. They do give me good products. But that is my dream in the future. We have a ranch here in California, and that's my dream to start herbs here and grow herbs here, so that I know what kind of effect that herbs actually give the clients. That is my dream, but that's going to be sometime in the future. Hopefully, once I put that into the universe will let it happen. So I've been putting that thought into the universe, that I want to make sure that I grow herbs here in the United States, so that good quality herbs are available for everybody. We do definitely need good quality herbs. I definitely agree with you on that, Gayatri. Good. So that was a good discussion we had. I hope you all will have a good weekend. Thank you all for joining on this Friday evening. Um, Subscribe to Ayurhitam if you have not already, for the daily tips or the live topics that I do every Friday. You can always reach out to me for any questions you have. Direct message me also if there are any other questions. And I'll see you all next Friday. If there's any way we can buy products from you, unfortunately, the products I do give it to my clients. Any consultation I do, herbs I provide to my clients, Gayatri. But I do not have any other products except for the herbs. I do not carry any other products. Yeah, great. Thank you so much for joining. I'll see you all next week. Bye for now.